It's time for a look back at our top stories of the week. The future of the Hard Rock Hotel collapse site remains unclear, but 2 city council members are launching efforts to make it a historic landmark. We look at how they plan to memorialize the busy corner on Canal Street that marks both tragedy and an important incident of civil rights. 1031 Canal Street could soon be considered a historic landmark. It's a push by City Councilman Freddie King and Council President Helena Moreno. The pair say the site is significant for 2 pivotal historical reasons. In 2019, the Hard Rock Hotel collapsed, killing 3 construction workers and injuring dozens of others.
This was 3 simple men going to work that didn't get to come home.
On the 5th anniversary this past October, we spoke to the sister of one of those who died, Anthony Magretta, as she called on the city to honor the men.
That's my fight now, to make sure when something goes up there that they are going to remember the guys with some kind of plaque, statue, something.
City Council President Helena Moreno says this would be the first step to paying tribute, as well as remembering another legacy. In a statement, she said the designation is a move toward a permanent memorial. This is undoubtedly a historic corner, widely known as the location of one of the first organized civil rights protests in New Orleans in 1960, and then for the tragedy that occurred when 3 lives were lost in 2019. I hope we can move forward expeditiously to get this done. In 1960, 1031 Canal Street was a Woolworths where 7 university students staged a sit-in to protest the store's refusal to serve Black people at the lunch counter.
In the civil rights era, it was absolutely ground zero to forcing the issue of integration.
We was hungry because we knew what other college kids were doing.
In a statement from Councilman King, he said the site stands as a reminder of pivotal moments, from the courageous civil rights sit-in to the tragic Hard Rock Hotel collapse. Preserving places like this is essential to honoring our community's history, reminding us of our resilience and the lessons we carry forward. In New Orleans, Whitney Miller, WWL, Louisiana. The Archdiocese of New Orleans has been in bankruptcy for years as they work to compensate victims of sexual abuse by priests and deacons. Now, the church and about 500 survivors have an agreement to settle non-monetary terms of the case. Chief Investigative Reporter David Hammer and our partners at The Guardian have the details.
4.5 years into bankruptcy, the Archdiocese of New Orleans still seems far from compensating more than 500 survivors of child sexual abuse by clergy. Back in September, the survivors proposed about $2 million per claim. The church countered with about $125,000 each.
They are light years apart, and I'm hopeful that they can get to a happy medium that offers true justice to the survivors and a fair compensation to those who have been affected by the church.
But now, survivors like bank executive James Adams can at least say the 2 sides have something to build off of. Today, they agreed in principle to settle on everything the church can do to emerge from bankruptcy, everything but the money.
The fact that it's taken our church 4.5 years and more than $40 million to get to this point, well, I guess better late than never.
The main proposal involves releasing the secret personnel files of accused priests and deacons. The church would release thousands of documents to a university archive to be made public for at least 15 years.
I think that's huge. I think that's such a big part of helping survivors reach that point of healing and recognition that what's happened to them genuinely wasn't their fault. That there were folks in the Archdiocese who were aware of this and placed some bad folks in positions that caused this harm.
The New Orleans Archdiocese would also be obliged to report all previous abuse claims to law enforcement. That's especially significant after a state police investigation accused local church leaders of systematically covering up abuse for decades. Other terms of the proposed agreement include removing plaques or other celebrations of known abusers, hiring child protection experts and submitting to regular audits, sending apology letters to all 500-plus abuse claimants, and posting survivors' stories on the Archdiocese website. Finally, if the 2 sides can agree on compensation, the church promised to improve the way it collects and records complaints. We've seen the problems with that system on full display over the years. In 2018, when this survivor tried calling the church's abuse reporting hotline and got sent to voicemail. Or in 2020, when I asked Archbishop Amond about why the church had no record of a 2002 complaint to the hotline against Father Brian Highfill.
I would say that it was probably a clerical error. No excuse, but it was probably a clerical error.
And then, moments later, church officials suddenly produce this typed record of that complaint.
The church does a very, very good job of keeping meticulous records of things that come in. So improving upon that, I think, is being a little bit more transparent, or perhaps a lot more transparent.
The agreement calls for greater transparency. Now they just have to come together on the money part.
An estimated 125,000 visitors are expected to pour into the city for Super Bowl 59 in February. But with so many people, law enforcement often faces the difficult reality of sex trafficking such national events unfortunately attract. One Metairie man is working to provide support to survivors of sex trafficking. As Meg Ferris explains, you could win tickets to the big game by helping to save a life.
Our bodies were branded. We had no say-so over our bodies. We were told what to do, what to wear, where to go, we weren't allowed to think for ourselves.
Last year, a sex trafficking survivor explained the years of terror she escaped. Scott Vaughn, owner of First Down Healthcare and Aesthetics, showed us how he was helping survivors by donating all laser treatments to remove barcodes and tattoos forced upon them.
What a trafficker will do, he will sell a boy or a girl to another trafficker, and then that trafficker puts his brand on that girl, just like a rancher brands his cattle.
Today, with his therapy dog Lucy at their side, he's done more than 300 treatments on 40 survivors.
They tell me how I'm changing their life, and it gets me emotional, as it does now, because as I tell them, you don't know how much you're changing my life.
Scott now has a goal to help thousands of survivors across Louisiana who can't get to his Metairie office. So he worked with the laser company to design a smaller, lighter machine than this one that could take the vibrations of travel.
The statistics from 2022 to 2023, there was a 77% increase in cases of sex trafficking here in the state of Louisiana.
Scott, his father, and grandfather were all SEC football officials. His dad was an NFL referee, too. So he asked the NFL Referee Association to support him, and they voted unanimously to donate 10 Super Bowl tickets to his cause, called Unbranded. You can get your raffle tickets now. They're $200 a piece. If you get 6, it'll cost you $1,000, so you get a little bit of a break. And they're only selling 1,500, so that increases your chances of winning. He's also told Homeland Security that Unbranded wants to help in any way possible.
The Super Bowl is an event where sex traffickers come and set up. So the FBI is very involved trying to stop that from happening.
Now you can be involved too. Meg Ferris, WWL, Louisiana.